You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the October 12th meeting of the Michigan City Board of Aviation Commissioners. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Board of Aviation Commissioners Monthly Meeting, October 12th. Time now is 1:02. Members present: myself, Jeff Bartlett, Jessica Ward, Airport Manager, Paul Schaefer, BFNS, Michigan City Liaison Gene Simmons, Greg Poulin, and Kirk Hunter. Absent, T.Y. Olson. Reading the minutes, September 6, 2023. Everybody get a chance to read those at just consent?
I did. I moved that be accepted as written.
I second.
All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Seriously. I think we got here. All right, motion carries. Minutes are approved. Reports, financial, October 23rd.
Sure, can you send it from
Yeah.
while you're thinking about it right now? Let's see. Accounts. I got a lot to say about these this time. So, everybody has their little report. There are a few transfers that are going to need to be made before the end of the year. One is into overtime, vacation bonus, liability insurance, equipment repair, and organizational membership, and that's currently. Before the end of the year, we're also going to need to transfer into water, sewer, and possibly electric gas. I don't see any issues with us going over, that set of accounts or anything to make those transfers, so everything will be fine with that. Building and equipment repairs, that's the only tricky thing. It just depends on how many building and equipment repairs you have, whether you need to transfer money into them or not. So we do have the beacon repair that's gonna be needed. I'm not sure if we're even gonna be able to cover that in this year's operational budget. I don't have an estimate for that yet, because I don't know where to even get an estimate from. But right now, how it is, I'm actually, I think, talking about this later. No, I'm not. So right now, how it is, it's like connected in a way that we can't pull the beacon down to access the light. But what happened is, when you go out and you look at the beacon, there's 3 poles. There's like the beacon pole, and then there's the 2 side poles that kind of hold it all together. There's a pin that goes through the top. Well, over time, because this beacon, remember when we did the beacon repair, like when we put the new beacon on, they didn't want to change out the poles. The FAA refused to fund that, to change the poles as well. So they're wooden poles from 1940, I don't know, that was a made up number. But it's just, they're so old that they're like bowing out now, you know what I mean, like towards the top. So we need to somehow have somebody come in and like repin that, like with a longer pin, or like we need some sort of control to keep those from bowing out, because what happens is the pin isn't long enough and they're bowed out at the top. So the beacon just fell, and the only thing that was holding it, that was after that big windstorm that we had in July, the only thing holding it on was just like the electrical that goes from the box to the beacon. Like that was it. It was like holding it, and it's just like all like hanging there, and like so Marcos Electric came out right then, and they had to bring 2 bucket trucks, and they had to repair it. So but they have it, so it's not going to harm anyone, it's not going to fall or anything, but we just can't access the beacon until it is repaired. But we do have the LED light that's supposed to not go out ever, so hopefully that's the case, and it'll be a while. But I just don't think I'll be able to take a repair that big out of our operational budget with, you look at building repair, we only have $828 left in that account, and equipment repair, we're negative $1,886 already. So, that's just the cost of doing business with equipment, I suppose.
So where are we under that we're transferring them from?
If you look at legal, we have $8,787 in there, engineering $7,893 in there. So that's all the last set of accounts. So the first one is kind of like the first cutout, and then the second one's the second cutout, and the third one's actually 2 cutouts, the third and the fourth cutout, all are in one group of accounts.
Right.
So I have plenty of places to move money around in there with how it is. We also have our New Holland that needs repair, and it's not something that central maintenance can do. So I'm not really sure about what the repair is needed on that, but central maintenance they're not able to do it. So we're gonna have to call a tech in from actual New Holland to come out and take a look at the tractor.
What's it doing?
So that's another thing. It's something with the PTO shaft. Something there's
What's
like
it not
these,
doing?
you can't hook things into the PTO shaft.
Okay.
So there's just like these beads or something that kind of like come out and they're all like over, so they need to like magnet pull them out, I don't know. It's something that central maintenance just cannot handle.
Bearings,
Or something up there.
Yeah, something,
Shipped out.
yeah, something like that, but
Yeah, I thought we had that rebuilt the one time at PTO.
it was the other side.
Oh, okay.
Yep, this is a side that the blower goes on and the brush goes on,
Oh, okay.
so. So we'll see if I can take that, you know what I mean? I'm gonna try and pull one of those two, the Beacon repair or the New Holland repair. I'm gonna try and pull those out of the operation budget before the end of the year. That's my goal.
This is the Beacon repair, $5,809.
No,
Oh, so,
no, that's something totally
okay, all
different.
right.
I don't have anything on that yet.
Okay,
The
well,
Beacon
that's something light over here.
Yeah, that's the light that's gonna go on
Okay,
now.
all right.
The ramp light. Next thing I have, if you look down, you'll see that the 5th pay request from New Tech for the SRE building is to be approved at this meeting later. It's $68,525.40. The final pay request, including retainage, is the $28,220. So that leaves us with $7,078.95. That's for additional change orders. And it also will cover installing the ramp lighting fixture. So we got a quote for that to install it. We had the pole taken down and the big cement pad was taken out, but we just needed it installed. We didn't have the money in at the time for it. We wanted to make sure we didn't need anything else for the building. So we can pull that out for, I think, we're gonna talk about that later, $5,800 or so.
Okay.
And so that's account balances. Fuel I'm gonna talk about later. There's some things to talk about that, so.
Isn't that next?
Next on the SWPD water testing?
I think I'm just on fuel sales.
Oh,
Want me to do that
Yeah, I
report?
was just
Is
gonna
that
say,
okay?
is it still the next?
Sure. Yeah, but I have it in my manager report later.
Okay.
So fuel sales, overall we sold 1,906.3 gallons of 100 low lead, 2,661 gallons of Jet A, and 647.9 gallons of Swift fuel in September. Our tank is only 1,000 gallons, and we sold 647.9 gallons in September of Swift. That's awesome. Our current fuel prices are $5.36 for self-service avgas, $5.56 for full service, $4.24 for self and full service Jet A, and $6.75 for self-service UL 94. We did just receive a full load of Swift fuel. The price didn't change, so it's unchanged for us. I have put in a request to Swift, asking them about any like tank trade-in programs that they might have available. Remember, we got that tank from them originally. I have no idea with as big as they've gotten now, if they would even do something like that, but you don't know unless you ask, so I
The
decided
old
to
one
ask
was
them.
350 gallons.
It's 1,000 gallons.
No, I said the old one.
We didn't have an old one. We got this from Swift, and it's just a 1,000 gallon above ground tank that they put out there.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't have any other tanks out there besides the 200 ground tankers. So I put in a request to see, maybe we could go up to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, I don't even know what's available for tanks, but it would be great if we could go up to something. You know, because the problem is when you put in, you know, when I ask for fuel, we only can get like 950 gallons at a time. They have to send out the same truck or like trucks for like avgas and stuff out here for 950 gallons, you know, so it's like, it takes so long to be able to get fuel, and you can't order it until it's gone because they can't stop it unless it's overflowing, then they have to stop. So it's like you have to know the tank is empty in order to get more fuel, so you can't order it till then, and then it takes a long time to get here, so it'd be nicer if we had a bigger tank and could kind of manage that a little bit better.
It would make sense if we're expanding the runway, we're anticipating getting more traffic in here, so we'll need more fuel type situation.
Well, Swift fuel is getting a lot more popular.
Yeah,
And, I mean, the Flying Club requires it
yeah.
here.
Did you read that article that Jessica sent in?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I agree with
Yeah, I mean, it just
So,
saves engines on the planes,
Yeah.
it's less cost for
better for the
maintenance.
environment, everything else, yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get another tank similar to the one we have and connect them via gravity?
I have no idea. I'd have to,
I'm just,
I don't know.
I don't either, I didn't expect an answer, but rhetorical question. Seems like you could.
see, Paul, see.
There we go.
Physics would say you could.
I didn't do all physics.
But that would help with the FAA grant, right? Because we're expanding our tank system, right? So we can use that money?
I don't know.
Because before they said that 30%, they weren't gonna, was it match it because we're not increasing the tank size or anything? But if we do
The
this,
question was, could you use bill funds
Yeah.
to do Swift?
because we're
Like add it into
increasing,
the fuel project,
Because
or
we're-
don't go that route and do the state.
Yeah,
That's a
we
good
could
question.
add it into the state project probably pretty easily,
Okay.
but,
Because we're increasing it, they said that.
That would literally be increasing the capacity of the tank. That's the whole project.
alright.
So for the Swift, but I mean, it's tiny. It's only gonna be like a
Right,
3,000 gallon tank or something.
Yeah, it works on a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Interesting.
can talk
That would
about
be a
that.
nice tank. That would be a nice
Yeah,
tank.
it would be nice size. I mean, that would get us through more than just 1 month at a time, you know, that's like the hardest thing. It's like I'm constantly noting it out of, you know.
Like having a spare propane tank
Yeah.
for your grilling.
Yeah, that's so true.
Alright.
Okay, so that's fuel.
Now for your airport manager.
Yes. SWIP water testing submittal NOI letter. Okay, so our annual water testing has been completed. We have Environmental Inc. come out and do that. I've had that done for the last 4 years by them, or 3 maybe, this is a 3rd year. They're who the Port Authority uses, and they do an awesome job. They submit the reports on our behalf to IDEM as well, which is great. This year we are due for our renewal notice of intent letter for the stormwater discharge permit. That's like once every 5 years we have to do that. I've completed the NOI letter. It's gonna need to be signed by the mayor. And our MS4 coordinator is looking over the checklist. There's like a SWIP checklist that you need to like complete within 365 days of submitting your renewal letter. But last time we submitted it at the same time and it went way easier than trying to figure out in the next year doing it. So I just want it all done at the same time. So that needs to be submitted and signed by a qualified person. That's what they literally say in their qualified person. So that's like an MS4 coordinator. I am not a qualified person. We're all just gonna go ahead and say that on the stormwater discharge. So Arbor is from the sanitation. He is our MS4 coordinator and he is the qualified person. So he took our SWIP plan. He's looking over the checklist. I filled in everything that I think, but he needs to make sure it's all in there and make sure he's nice and comfortable with signing it. And then we had to publish it in the newspaper, our intent to discharge. So we published that today. It was in the newspaper. And so I just need the proof of publication from that, and I submit that with the checklist and the NOI letter that is signed by the mayor, and we're good for another 5 years. Yay!
Excellent.
That was a lot of information.
Alright.
So there's that.
Fuel fund.
Fuel fund, additional appropriation request. Gene, he had my back for this one. So the additional appropriation for our fuel fund is on 2nd reading, Tuesday's council meeting.
And we're request for all 3 readings.
Yes, I was just gonna say that on here. So I'm hoping there's no issue, doing both 2nd and 3rd. Because we can currently take a full load of fuel in both avgas and Jet A. And so if we had to wait till October 31st, of course, we might make it for both of those. I would hope so. But the earlier the better. So there were no comments, there were no questions or anything from the council. So I think there shouldn't be any issues with approval and I'll be at the next meeting. So just in
Excellent.
case there is anything,
Alright, thanks.
we can figure that out then.
Donation to youth aviation camps program.
Yes, in memory of Philip Paz, we have received a $2,000 donation for youth aviation programs here at the airport. A beautiful bench with a plaque in his memory has also been placed outside our terminal building right here. So Philip Paz was a local avid airplane enthusiast. He's been to our airport many times in the past, working on just different airplane builds and aircraft maintenance projects. He was the nephew of Joe Phillips, who was the original owner of this airport, before the city purchased it in the 1980s. He is missed here by our aviation community, and we are so thankful to be the recipient of the lovely bench and monetary donation that was made in his memory.
Nice.
Yes, so that was really
Very nice.
great.
Alright, thanks, Jessica. Airport development, improved runway 220, RSA, RPC runway extension.
Yeah, we've got, on that, well, we've got a series of action items here, regarding the building and what is her agenda, which, I don't have a copy of her agenda, I'm sorry. Here, let's see. Okay, so for the runway project, we don't really have any action items on that. We're still, basically holding for funding. The latest news is, we don't have any FAA funding right now. We're operating on basically the authorization expired in September. So we're waiting for either a continuing resolution or passage of a new bill. The new bill has an extra $1 billion in there. It's supposed to rearrange some of the priorities in the system, so we'll just have to wait and see. But right now, the start of the runway 220 has been pushed to 2026 is when the utilities are supposed to go now.
We do have a meeting coming up though, that we're gonna schedule. I talked to Neil about that.
Okay. Yeah, we're hoping to work on a meeting with sanitary and water to kind of brief everybody on the project. You do have your entitlements from last year, this year, and so forth that can be used towards the project if we find a meaningful thing to do. So we could start working on the reimbursable agreements with some of the utilities.
How many carryovers can we do with that money? Is it 3?
Well, basically 4.
4?
Yeah, yeah. 4 before it expires. So that's everything on the runway. The SRE building, we do have some action items here. All 4 action items on the DFS agenda that you have revolve around the SRE building. Of course, before we approve any of these, we did the final walk prior to the meeting. I wrote down all the items. I'll issue him the formal punch list. And so the first action item is motion for pay application 5 in the amount of $68,525.40. This does still hold $28,000 in retainage, which is pay application 6. So I would recommend approving full payment of pay application 5.
All right, is there,
I move we approve the pay application number 5 for New Tech in the amount of $68,525.40.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries in the amount of $68,525.40.
It may take them more than 30 days to complete the punch list items, but that next one, if the board so pleased, they could approve the final retainage release, but just have Jessica hold either processing of the claim or the check, however you want to do it, until all the items are done before it's released. But you could also wait till the next meeting. I don't think it'd be the end of the world. So it's up to the board. Which way would you prefer?
So it'll just be pending punch list items completed.
Okay, pending.
Okay.
I'll make that motion pending that punch list checklist is completed for Jessica, that we do approve the $28,220.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you.
Okay. Third item is, if you recall, we had
Is
to
this,
remove the light pole.
Yep.
And the initial quote that came through appeared to be out of reach because of the budget, but they ended up removing the foundations as kind of a part of the project and didn't charge any extra. So then the re-coordinated quote that Jessica got, which was originally provided through the project and has been provided, but since New Tech had already finalized their paperwork, we just want to do that as a standalone, but it's really part of the project. So that's in the amount of $5,009, and
so it's not going through New Tech, it's just gonna be a standalone payment to Marquis Electric for that work. But it was, Marquis Electric was who quoted it to be done through the project. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So, but we had to change the project.
How does that
Because now he's
impact
not.
the paperwork as far as the funding?
well, normally it would be a little goofier than it is
Okay.
right now, but because bill funds only paid for roughly 40% of the project,
Okay.
your local share of it was 60%, so it's just coming out of the 60%. So the paperwork is really not that important for the feds. It'll just, but yeah, so it's $15,000 for removal and putting it back up,
Correct.
basically. And now it's 58 because New Tech just went ahead and took care of the removal and just it got built in the project. So you ended up saving almost 10 grand doing it this way.
Yeah.
Why move we approve the installation of the ramp lighting fixture on terminal roof in the amount of $5,809?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, and then the last item is just to process AIP 28 partial pay request number 2 for the snow removal building there, and that will get you basically that $15,899, which will max out that 1 year bill. And that'll be your final reimbursement on bill.
Okay, what is this now? I'm sorry.
So your bill, the bill grant.
Yeah,
All right, so we did it in 2 draws because when you draw, you can only draw up to 90% for the auto pay. And we wanted to get the bulk of the money in. So last month we did the 90% draw. This is the remaining 10% of the, this is 159,000 federal share. So this gets you the balance, the remaining 10%.
Just 15,899.
Yeah, here's the.
And the state share, 83.
Yeah.
Good too, yeah.
Yeah, you'll get that. So this is the complete package of paperwork if you want to review it, same thing.
I'll motion that we approve AIP 28, partial pay request 2, final $17,666.67.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries for the AIP 28 partial pay request 2 final.
So that is all of the action items. Thank you. We, next on the agenda is the CIP. And I know Greg's working on a limited time here, so
No, that's fine.
I'll make this
We're fine.
very quick.
What do we get next year?
Yeah, we need to
Well-
seriously talk about that though, so we can push it to next month too. Like, I don't want you to feel like you're not a part of the,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I like getting introduced. This is October.
Yeah.
Usually we don't get these till December.
Well, they changed the due date.
That's right.
It's now due December 1st.
Okay.
So we will have to take action on it in November.
So it used to be February 1st, was it?
It used to be February 1st, that's
Okay.
right. They pushed everything up. So, it is earlier. This copy that has a draft on it.
Sure.
Now, is kind of what I threw out there, but after talking, there is now a friendly amendment that we were thinking about. So I think we roll again your AIP funds because we don't have enough money there. We're at 150 from last year, 150 is 300,000 in the bank, if you will, federal share.
Right.
But that's not really enough to do much for the project unless we need to work with utilities a little bit, then maybe we'll pull that back. But for right now, we're showing that roll. And then you'll notice priority 2 is a different, so we had construct fuel farm last year, but we had it using the bill funds, the bipartisan infrastructure funds. But after coordinating through FA, and we found out that it's only basically 30% eligible, that made the local share 70%, which is a pretty healthy price tag. The state legislature passed 2 new bills. One was basically allowing some of the underground storage tank fees to be shifted over to the Aviation Grant Fund, which is making some state grants available. And fuel systems will be a high priority in that. The other piece of legislation that passed during the last session was they changed the match from 50-50 to 75-25. On here, I only have it at 50-50, so I need to modify this. I just learned that I thought they were gonna graduate it, but it is gonna be 75-25, so I'll modify that. So what we're thinking now is the 889,000 would be put in as a type 2 funding, which is state funds, which would be 25% Michigan City, 75% state of Indiana. They have $3 million for this first round. I like this project because they told us it would be high priority, and it takes less than a third of their total funds, so they could do at least another grant for somebody else in there. So
And the city's already given us the appropriation for the fuel farm, so that's huge, because it shows that the city is already ready to,
How much you said they had in it?
3 million.
Oh, nice. Yeah, 3 million. Approximately. They don't have to talk about.
And is there a line for that money? I mean, there's always a line. It's a line meaning people, other people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so people have been submitting type 2 projects. Last year, we submitted this, the next project on this list is the executive taxiway. We put it in as type 2 because we always wanted to establish that there was a need. So there is a list. But I think this strategy, the executive taxiway is not going to compete well for the type 2 funding because their priorities, they've said, are going to be fuel systems and terminal buildings because the FAA doesn't like to pay for
Oh, terminal
Ubers.
buildings.
Yeah.
Everybody needs.
They don't like to pay for
those.
what?
Right. They don't like to pay for fuel farms or terminal buildings.
If it's,
Yeah. I mean, it's possible, but it's challenging.
yes.
So those are the first two priorities will be the fuel farm and then, of course, the runway is your biggest priority, but we don't have enough money to do much with that right now. The fuel farm and then talking to Jessica and looking at your pavement condition index report. The pavement condition is right now marginal.
Yeah.
And it's slated to probably drop below the minimum service level prior to when we'll have the new runway built.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of have to look at that and say, well, what do we want to do? We could pause the runway program and say, hey, instead of utilities in 2026, let's do something to address the runway condition. But Jessica and I were talking about using the balance of your bill funds, which would be almost $800,000 towards a Band-Aid fix.
Right. Oh, of what taxiways?
No, just the runway.
Just the
Oh, just the runway?
Yeah.
Taxiway needs it too.
Yeah, but that's not as safety critical. So you could, so the runway minimum service level is a 55.
Yeah.
And the taxiway minimum service level is a 40.
And we're sitting at,
I'll tell you, I wanna,
yeah. I know it's close.
I do have money in next year. We've already gotten that approved. Money next year for taxiway, and I did for just taxiway
There's
repair,
cracks in
like
it that are
cracks.
like this deep.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and the
that.
taxiway you're talking about,
It's like your front tire can almost go in it.
or are you talking about the runway?
The taxiway.
The taxiway, and then we have striping. I put
In the runway, yeah, you don't use that center line.
yeah, it's just the especially the joints. That's where I would
That's
really
what it
want
is. It's the
repairs.
joint right
yeah,
in the
where
middle.
the joints are. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it'll just be a joint repair.
Michigan.
Because the FAA, they won't. You have to wait how many years in order to do?
Yeah, so you can't touch it again for, if you do a major rehab, it's 15 years.
Yeah.
But
So we
if
don't
you
want it
just
to be
do-
major rehab. We just
No.
want to do
Periodic.
Band-Aid
Yeah.
repair
Right.
to the joints.
I thought we were required to do it every 5 years anyways, like fill in cracks and that sort of thing. Or
Well,
put money
You should do it
into
as
You should
as
do
you
it.
go
that
along.
program.
Mhm.
We had a program about 10 years ago that we,
Yeah, but I mean, we use local funds for that too, though.
right,
So
right.
I always make sure that I'm always funding it locally as well.
Yeah.
So like last year we did it, but we used city. Remember the city?
Yeah, they came up with their filler.
So
Yeah, so it says the overall for the whole airport is a 22, or a 52.
I was gonna say 22. Might as well all go home.
52,
It's a little in the red zone.
yeah.
52, that's right there at the bottom.
There we go. So, yeah. It's not wanting to load very fast, so we'll keep talking.
That's a
While this loads in here, but the taxiway, it's not giving me a number on it. We'll let that load while, so, I don't know what you guys think of the idea on replace executive taxiway with a, joint repair
Yeah.
and seal coat project for the runway. So what we think is basically all those transverse wide cracks, we do a full depth patch the whole width of the runway. And then basically cut those out, which I don't like doing because
We
it
did that
creates,
recent, I mean, not long ago we did it.
yeah,
Yeah, that was like, I don't know how many years ago that was, maybe 7?
Yeah. Yeah.
but it creates 2 joints for every one, so it just keeps making more and more and
It
more and
does.
more joints. But on this,
We got some long ones too that are going with the runway and the
Yeah.
taxiway.
yeah. So we would do as much of those as we could afford, and then do like a slurry micro seal over the whole thing, and hopefully it holds it together for another
4 or 5.
5 years or so, and then hopefully the runway then comes online. And
What do you think, Jeff?
Sounds good.
okay, so we'll swap that out with a runway joint repair. And then after that, it's basically all runway.
Yeah.
It's the same runway program you've had, it's just costs have been updated and years have been pushed out.
Or we just get a new runway and fix all these problems.
Well, I mean, the runway project, if you notice, the priorities 13 and 14 are basically the overlay of the remaining portion. But I mean, the runway, during the runway extension project, it gets reconstructed all the way back here.
Yeah.
Because when you raise this end that high, the curve has to be all the way back, so there's not a up at the end, right?
Yeah.
It's just unfortunate, it says 2029 on it.
I know.
That's the number I don't like.
I'm gonna bring a CIP from 10 years ago.
No, don't do that. I'm already depressed.
Sorry, I won't do that.
So there were 2 runway extensions in front of yours. DeKalb County, well, in Greensburg was a brand new runway.
Yeah.
They finally got those funded last year. So we just had ribbon cuttings on both of those. So there's 2 out of the way.
And where,
And executive was in front of you, and Huntingburg.
Yeah.
So there's 4, and I can't remember if Salem was in front of you or you were in front of Salem, but they were right next.
I know, but I know we got to drop back down for some really obnoxious reason.
Well, I think it was like, just like South Bend taking a lot of emergency funding in Indy, is that what you mean?
No,
There was no
it was
other-
up there on the list, and then
I don't think
they
there was-
redid the list. They redid the list, and all of a sudden we were like, so they didn't count us. They didn't count us for these years that we were doing the runway extension until this
Oh, yeah, maybe it
point.
was until
Until
this.
this point,
Right.
which then was like, what? No, we started way back here. Oh no,
Yeah.
they gave us credit for here.
Right, yeah, we didn't get credit until the environmental was approved. Yeah, and then that's when that's the line in the sand when it marks when you actually can get money for it.
But the environmental had all those issues for like 3 years. It was long.
It seemed long, but it went pretty fast compared to the first one.
Yeah. The first one still isn't approved.
30 years later.
Yeah.
How much did we spend on that?
Yeah, right?
So we switched it. We switched that first one, switched into a tree trimming
Yes.
project.
Paul, was there anything else?
Sorry.
No, that's basically the draft. If there's no other comments, or feel free to email me comments. I'll bring a clean copy to the next meeting and we'll approve it for submission.
All right, thank you.
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other business? No, new business? Everybody get a chance to look at the claims docket. Pending total claims $112,589.68 for October 12th.
I did.
Is there a motion to approve $112,589.68?
Also made that a motion.
All right, a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries to approve October 12th claims docket. Thank you. Correspondence
Negative.
and any public comment? No.
Gene, you have anything to say?
Jay,
I think we adjourn the meeting.
no motion to adjourn.
I made that motion.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting's adjourned. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Gene, for